You love American history. Do you know what Juneteenth really is? I think a lot of people don't really understand the significance of this incredibly important holiday. But my guests and I are going to clear that up for you because we have some amazing books that will help you not only share with kids, but learn for yourselves the real importance of Juneteenth. So get ready for a heart full of history. Welcome to our episode with special guest Alice Faye Duncan. I love Alice Faye. She's so cool. She's an amazing writer but also just an all-around amazing human being. I defy you to not smile when you listen to Alice Faye. She is the best. She's so uplifting. And you're really one of the authors that I just treasure the most because you're just incredible. You really are. And I just think it's a sunny day anytime I speak to you. Even if it's pouring. So welcome, Alice Faye. And yeah, I'm very excited to have you here. And we're here to discuss something really important at Juneteenth.
Yes.
And you have a book specifically about the creation of the holiday. Okay. And we'll talk about that. But let's first really discuss Juneteenth and why it is so important. Do you want to give us the lowdown on Juneteenth?
Okay. So Juneteenth is the day in June 1865, when the Union Army comes to Galveston to announce that emancipation has come for the enslaved. Now, mind you, the emancipation had already been signed and implemented 2 years and several days before, on January 1st, 1863. And so people in era often say that is the day that all the enslaved were free. But
Right.
the emancipation had had freed the enslaved 2 years earlier. What happens is it was late arriving to Texas because Texas was so big and vast.
Yeah.
And there were not ample Union soldiers to fortify it so that they could implement emancipation. They knew, the people in Texas knew that emancipation had come.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It is just that there was not enough enforcement of Union troops
Right.
to make that happen.
Right.
And so you get all these several thousand troops that march into Galveston, into Texas on June 19th. And that is when emancipation, though a day late and a dollar short,
Right.
emancipation comes to Texas, and it really serves as a emblem and a symbol then of the emancipation of the enslaved. Because
Yes.
then you don't even have the ratification of the freeing of the slaves
Right.
until December, right? I think
Yeah.
of 1865. And so
The amendment. You're talking about the amendment, right?
right.
Right. Yeah.
Ratification of that until
Yeah.
December. And so really Juneteenth serves as an emblem of the liberation of the slave. So from that, let's clear something up right fast.
Okay.
People often say, well, can white people celebrate Juneteenth? And can brown people celebrate Juneteenth? And the reality of it is everybody needs to celebrate Juneteenth.
Absolutely.
Because
Yes.
it represents liberation.
Yes.
Represents the possibility of freedom for those who do not have democracy.
Yes.
Juneteenth represents for us right now, as we see the voting rights gutted, as we see
Yes.
the gerrymandering happening all over the nation. Juneteenth serves as a symbol to everyone that democracy and freedom remains a possibility if we work toward it.
Yes.
As unvoiced, people together.
You see what I mean about her, guys? Come on. Let's hear it. Alice Faye, you are amazing. Oh my gosh, you should run for public office.
Well, just want folks to buy the books. If people buy the books, they'll get the message, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Juneteenth, I have this bug up my butt about Abe Lincoln, because he did not really want to free the enslaved people. He said that in his first inaugural address. And then the Emancipation Proclamation, he really only did it under duress. He was like, like, pushed into it
We need
because it was
help.
yeah,
We need help. And
yeah,
okay. And so the reason why, let's talk about that.
yeah,
Reason why the enslaved were set free is so that he could get fighting power
mhm.
on the side of the Union.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, really and truthfully, Abe Lincoln has not freed anyone. Black
No.
folks, black men freed us
That's right,
because
absolutely.
they
Yeah,
added millions and millions of troops to the
yeah,
Union forces.
yeah.
And so, that's the reality of it.
No, he was I look, I think if he wasn't assassinated, he would not have this golden reputation, honestly. But I'm not against Abe Lincoln, everybody. Don't come looking for me. But but
I'm not
but he
against.
gets credit for something that he really did not want to do. And even when he right before he was assassinated, he spoke to General Benjamin Butler, who, by the way, we'll talk about him after when I talk about one of my books. Benjamin Butler was the one that made this thing called the contraband decision, which really was that was the beginning of the end of enslavement. Okay, and we'll talk about that after. But he called Benjamin Butler in, and he wanted to make a plan to send all the black people to Haiti. Can you imagine? This is what Lincoln wanted to do. Okay,
Mm.
it's on record. So I don't know what I'm gonna, it's not. So anyway, love Lincoln, fine, whatever. But also the Emancipation Proclamation did not free the enslaved people on the Union side, and there were enslaved people.
Right,
So there's that too.
right.
He only cared about it. He cared about what you said. He wanted to get the people on the side for the fighting. Absolutely. So I don't know. It just kind of bothers me a little bit that he's like the voice of the freedom, and he's really he did do it sort of,
Yeah.
but
It's in the word, like, so I read the Bible, often. So he didn't do it in the spirit of a cheerful giver.
no, he didn't. No, Frederick Douglass was so upset when he let me just read what he said in his first inaugural address because this is unbelievable. When I read this, I was like, "What?"
Wow.
He said, "I have no purpose, directly or indirectly, to interfere with the institution of slavery in the states where it exists. I believe I have no lawful right to do so, and I have no inclination to do so." He said that on March 4th, 1861, in his first inaugural address. Okay, this is not a man that wanted to free people. And Frederick Douglass was so upset that he almost went to Haiti. He was like, "What?" He was so disheartened. So
What you're sharing is very important because what we will often find is on a whole spiritual level, right?
mhm,
That that what the principalities of evil mean for evil, that the principalities of good will turn around and take that evil and make it good,
yeah,
right? And so that's why I always feel hopeful, no matter what it looks like externally, because I know that the greater force in the world that is always working is the force of good. And if
sure,
like more of us, like Frederick Douglass, and the variety of black and white people who had privilege, if more of us right now took advantage of just what privilege as we have in whatever this body that we are in, because all of us, no matter who you are, you have some level of privilege and influence,
mm,
right?
yeah,
And so, if all of us took advantage of the privilege and the influence that we have, and we allowed ourselves to shine our light, this present darkness that we are in, as we see democracy being assailed and
yeah,
gutted, this present darkness could not stay.
hmm,
It could not abide, right? And
yeah,
so you're having this conversation with me, and I'm having this conversation with you so that we can talk about the light of it, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And why it is important. And so I thank you. This is good because you're educating me, because I'm not an expert in the American slavery history. I wrote Opal and What It Means to Be Free, the true story of the grandmother of Juneteenth. I wrote that book to celebrate Juneteenth and to give children a general understanding of why the day is important and why everyone should celebrate the day.
Yes, and we're gonna talk about that next. I just wanna say a couple of things about what you said about what happened on Juneteenth.
Mhm.
I mean, I cannot even believe that it took 2 years, but it did, over 2 years,
Mhm.
and, the people the enslavers all knew, and what they did was they marched the enslaved people to Texas to try to avoid freeing them.
So the thing is, Texas is where you took your enslaved people.
Yeah,
Texas is where the planters and the landowners took their enslaved people so
yeah,
they would not have to let them go.
yeah. It's
And
disgusting.
right, it's like,
It's
where is the place that they take you take your money offshore? Off
right, that's right, you're right, that is what it's like, yeah.
This was
It's despicable.
offshore place.
It's despicable.
Yeah.
It's just despicable. Well, while I mentioned that, I will say that that happened to Henrietta Wood. She was this woman in one of my books, Twice Enslaved. She was freed on Juneteenth, but she was first marched to Texas by
Yeah,
her enslaver,
yeah.
and he took he couldn't take them all, so he took the ones that he valued the most.
Best ones, right?
But he was separating them from their children. It's
Mm.
despicable. So, I mean, I cannot stand the evil. I cannot stand the evil. But she somehow she didn't s she I have her, all this is true. I found her accounts from newspapers, but she never
Mhm.
said how she did it, but she said she pled and begged, and she got him to let her take her son.
Mm.
Oh my gosh. I mean, this woman went through hell. She was twice enslaved. I mean, can you imagine kidnapped back into slavery? It's just so despicable. But she was able to take her son but marched to Texas. And then, okay, this is the other thing I cannot stand about June. I love Juneteenth. I'm very happy. Believe me, I want it. But I cannot stand that they told them they were free and they kind of left them there all stuck. They didn't give him any money. They didn't give him any way back anywhere. That you're free, but good luck. You're stuck here in Texas. I mean, what is that?
And then what and so you see that, okay, so we're bird walking, but then what is instituted after that, right? Sharecropping. But you
Mm,
don't but you don't have the skill to read or to write. So you then have to take the landowner's word
right,
for it.
right.
And then you never that whole cycle of never
Disgusting.
getting out of
Right.
debt.
Yes.
It
That's so true.
it I
Yeah.
mean, it is evil, but the thing is, we who believe in freedom cannot rest, and we who believe in freedom also have to write, and we have to teach, and we have to raise our children according to the light, right? And
Yes.
that's why we're talking here today. So this is a
That's
great.
right. Well, I just think I just think it's amazing that I mean, it's an amazing time of that day that they were freed, of course, that they were told they were freed, of course. But still, I don't know. There's a lot of things that just get at me because everybody acts like everything was all hunky dory then, but it really wasn't because they
It
were trapped
wasn't.
there.
It wasn't. But here's the thing. You take the little bit of light that you can,
Of course. Yeah.
and then you
Yeah.
use it and you build on that and you
You're
build on.
right.
So now you looking at Alice Faye Duncan.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. No, you're right. And that's what Henrietta did too. Yeah.
The ratification of the amendment was just in
Mm,
1865. So now you got 100 years, 1965. So like a
mhm.
hundred and a couple of years later,
Yeah.
the child or the legacy of the enslaved, after only 100 and a couple of years later,
Yes.
is writing books, is teaching school, and is
Yes.
speaking about literacy. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so
But
yeah,
no, it's amazing.
so
It's
yeah.
amazing. Yes.
So the
But
thing.
I just yeah, you are so good at this. I mean, you make us see the good in everything, and I love that about you.
So listen. Did bad things happen? Yes,
Yeah.
it did. But the human spirit,
Mhm.
the human spirit
Yeah.
takes whatever it can and refuses. Many of us from all generations, from all nationalities, from all places in this land, we take whatever little bit of hope we can and
Yes.
then we build on that. And so that's why we're writing these books. And that's why you're writing
Yes.
about,
Yes.
twice enslaved. And that's why
Yes.
I'm writing about Opal
yes.
Lee.
Well, tell us about Opal Lee, because this is an incredible woman that everybody needs to know, and tell us all about your book
Okay,
and what you know,
so
why you wrote it and what it is.
the book that I wrote, and I'm traveling right now, so I don't have a copy of it, and
You know
so
what I'll do though? I can put a picture up. Yeah.
work. Okay, so the book that I wrote is Opal Lee and What It Means to Be Free, the true story of the grandmother of Juneteenth. So, grandmother Opal Lee, she was a child born and raised in Fort Worth, Texas.
Mhm.
On Juneteenth 1939, when she was a preteen, her family was the first Black family to move to a white neighborhood in Fort Worth. And
Wow.
on Juneteenth Day, a segregationist mob came, terrorized the family's home,
Mm.
burned it down, and they then left the community. As she grew up, became a teacher, she came in contact with a man named Mr. Edwards in Texas, and he's the first one that got Juneteenth to be a national observance day.
Wow. Okay.
Mr. Edwards died, and Opal Lee was left to continue to carry the campaign,
Mm.
make Juneteenth a national holiday, not just a national observance day.
Yeah.
So now Mr. Edwards is dead. Opal Lee is still here. She's like 86 years old and working toward going to collect signatures.
Mm.
By the time she is in, I think, her 90s, when we get to 2020, we have George Floyd. She's
Mm.
her George Floyd is the thing that inspires her campaign to go even to collect more names.
Wow.
And so, with her campaign to collect more names, President Biden, the Senate, the Congress, they all get on board, and Juneteenth is signed into being a national holiday. But put a pin in that. I need you to put a pin in that.
Okay.
What is Opal Lee doing to make Juneteenth a national holiday? She is literally walking across the nation in her
Wow.
tennis shoes, and she is collecting signatures that she can take to Capitol Hill, right?
Wow.
So she's
That's amazing.
but tell me who is she modeling? Where does she have an example in how to make something that you feel important, how to have it acknowledged as a federal holiday? She has her example in Mrs. Coretta Scott King. Coretta Scott King did not march across the nation to make Dr. King's birthday a national holiday. What she did was she was a coalition woman.
Yeah.
And Coretta Scott King then got over like 700 coalitions, labor movements, women's groups,
Mm.
sororities, fraternities, people in government. She got all these groups together
Mm.
to gather her signatures. And then she presented it to the Reagan administration. And the Reagan administration then, because after several years, because Coretta Scott King had been trying to make it Dr. King's birthday a national holiday since like her and Congressman Conyers, since like when he died. When he
Wow.
died, it was an initiative that they began. So you
Yeah.
go from 1968 till finally
Mm.
it is in 1983, it's signed, and then it comes into play in 1986.
Wow.
And so Opal Lee, she has her example in approaching the White House. She has her example in Coretta Scott King.
Mm.
But again, the thing that really inspires her movement and inspires her popularity to get more names is that while George Floyd, his murder is being amplified and seen on the news, her walk across the nation is also being seen on the news, right? Because it's happening during COVID.
Yeah.
Everybody is inside,
Yeah.
and she's still going on with her initiative.
I'm crying. I just find this like, wow, it's so oh my god. I'm
But
sorry. Keep going.
but where is the good news?
No, it is good, but it's not obviously horrible about George Floyd, but no, I am if there's a way to cry, I'll find it. Ignore
Okay,
me. Go
okay,
ahead. Go ahead.
it's fine.
But it worked. No, I mean, this is amazing what this woman did, and she succeeded. So we have to celebrate her.
She's not a single woman force though. So I mean,
Okay.
she had her grandchildren behind her. She had,
Hmm.
the people in Texas behind her. And then, she had people that once they got the word, then and
Wow.
celebrities then caught on and supported her and promoted
Amazing.
it on their accounts and things.
Yeah.
So it was like a zeitgeist moment, just like it
Yeah.
was a zeitgeist moment in 1955 when Dr. King is in Montgomery at the same time that the NAACP is starting the Montgomery civil rights movement.
Right.
Like, that's a zeitgeist moment.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
like it was a zeitgeist
Yeah.
moment, right? It
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
an idea whose time had come, whose time
Yeah.
had come, and Providence did
Yeah.
everything to connect the dots. And now we have Juneteenth Day, right, growing up together as we have gerrymandering, and
Yeah.
Juneteenth is now serving us as an example of the same determination that it took to get Juneteenth remembered is the same determination and organization. It's not just going to happen willy-nilly.
No.
Got to be organized so that we can now take back the rights that have been gutted
Yeah.
and have them returned to all of us. And
Yeah.
another thing about Juneteenth being a holiday for everyone, just like it's Opal Lee. I interviewed Opal Lee in order to write that book.
Amazing. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in interviewing her, she said Juneteenth is a celebration for everyone because liberation should belong to everyone.
Absolutely. Yes.
And so we need to see ourselves
Yes.
individually as
Yeah.
our sisters and our brothers keepers. We need to see,
Yeah.
I need to see myself in you. You need to see yourself.
Oh my God, you're so right. That is what I always say. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
need to see
Yeah.
myself in the Mexican child that's
Yeah.
being, I need to see myself as the Mexican child being committed to
Yeah.
the
Oh, yes. Yes.
detention centers.
Oh my gosh.
See myself in
Yeah,
the eyes of
absolutely.
that child. Am
Yes.
I from Guatemala?
Yes.
No. But does that child like me? And everybody deserve democracy. Yes.
Yes.
When I
You're
look,
so right.
when I see myself in that child, and when everybody who is being quiet as
Mm.
see inhumanity and indecency and injustice happen, when
Yes.
those quiet people began to see themselves in me and you, then perhaps we can get more people of light on this bandwagon
Yes.
to stop the injustice and to stop the gutting of democracy as we are seeing it happen
Yeah.
before our eyes.
Yeah. You're saying exactly what I always say. All this labeling and separation of each other. Why do we have to look at each other for our differences? We should look at each other for the same. We're all human. We're all loving people. We
Okay,
all care about our children. We have to feel each other's pain. We have to not just say, "Oh, it's happening to me personally." It's happening when it happens to someone else. It is happening to
it's
us.
happening to you because you are part of humanity. So
Yes.
I want to see you, I want to see you as you are, yes, a white woman born in the East. I am, yes, a Black woman born in the South. Yes, I appreciate our differences. And I'm not saying
Sure.
like I
Yeah.
don't see color. Like, no,
No, no, no, that's impossible, of course. Yeah.
see it,
Yeah.
see it, but also see beyond it and
Exactly.
see the
Yes.
see the humanity, see my humanness. I see your,
Yes.
and acknowledge that we all bleed, right?
Exactly.
Acknowledge
I don't know why it wa
that we all, if you hit me, we
yes.
acknowledge that we all hurt,
Yes. And
right?
we all suffer in some way now, and
Yes,
why do I write these stories? Because I have to
yes,
write these stories. I want to share what has happened to these
yes,
human beings that
yes,
we need to know.
yes.
We need to
The
know.
but and here's the thing. And why do we write? Because the books are not going to, the books cannot, and the books are not going to highlight all of the things that are relevant and important. It's just impossible for
Right.
the textbooks to do that.
I know. Yes.
And
Of
so
course.
we
Yes.
are blessed with publishing companies that still publish and operate under purpose. While the bottom line is absolutely and most important, but the bottom line is very important, but
Sure.
also the purpose is
Yes.
also very important. And I mean, we write for children because who do we want the children to be? We want them to be adults of compassion. We want
Yes.
them to be adults that think critically, and they cannot think critically if all they are reading is propaganda and
Yeah.
not the reality of our history.
Well, that's true, and also the textbooks often leave out the emotion, like the real humanness. I mean, that's why I never cared about history when I was growing up because it was like, "This
It
happened on this date,
it
this
was
happened on
dry.
this date."
It was
What
very dry.
you there was no connection with
Yeah.
the people.
Yes.
So, when I started I always I stumble into these stories, I learned one thing that's like this amazing person, and I'm like, "I have to tell this story. I
Yes.
have to tell this story,"
Yes.
because it's not there, like, we that's what kids need to have that connection,
They
the
do.
human connection. We all do.
They
That's what makes us care. That's
Yeah.
what makes us remember. That's what gives us our spark to do something else.
Right. Because you feel it, right? Because
You
you
gotta feel it. I
gotta
don't feel it like, I don't feel when you just say, "This battle happened," or "This happened," like,
yeah.
"Okay."
You
You
gotta
know?
right. It's
You
gotta
gotta feel it.
at some kind of emotional and
Yeah.
gut level. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I mean, so that book, I mean, I know it's done very well, and it deserves to because, that's a really important book, and I mean, she's an amazing woman.
Well, let me say this. My father would say it is a sad dog that does not wag her own tail.
That's right.
And so I want to say that I have a new book about Juneteenth that is going to be published sometime in 2027.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
it is Robert Johnson's Juneteenth Jamboree
Wow.
about the Delta blues musician Robert Johnson.
Mm.
So here's my opinion. You just said something very, very important. You said that children need history books that they can feel,
Yes.
right? So I believe that Juneteenth is a national holiday. I believe it will continue. And therefore, we need to continue as writers. We need to continue to write about Juneteenth in a myriad of ways,
Absolutely, yeah.
allow it to be seen in a myriad of ways. And one of the things that is very important about Juneteenth is that it is a holiday about joy because we have been chattel and now we are not property. We are free and we have
Yes.
our own personal agency. That is
Yes.
a joyful thing. And
Absolutely.
so my new book is about Juneteenth and the joy connected to it.
Wow.
That is
Is it available for pre-order yet?
no, 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 it's not a
Okay.
for
Well,
pre-order.
everyone's gonna have to, like, follow you on social media so they know so they
It's
can find out about it, yeah.
not available for pre-order yet, but let me tell you why it's important.
Okay.
It's important because you just said we're writing about these unexplored and unpopular incidents in history that are very important and should not be overlooked. And
Absolutely.
so a great number of music enthusiasts know Robert Johnson, the Delta blues singer, because he inspired rock and roll.
Yeah.
Okay. But what they do not know is that the last 13 recordings that we have of him were recorded in Dallas during one of its largest Juneteenth celebrations
Wow.
because not Dallas, but the state of Texas has been celebrating Juneteenth since 1866. The
Which is
first
pretty incredible, right, when you think
day,
about it.
they
Yeah.
celebrating a Juneteenth and an acknowledgement of the day since
Yeah.
its first anniversary in
That's amazing.
1866.
Yeah.
And so I think it was 1937 is the year that Robert Johnson found himself in Dallas for a recording. It
Mhm.
was Juneteenth. Black folks are all in the street just singing and
Yeah.
dancing, and there are bands. And they have like a pan American fair in Dallas.
Mm.
And it's like on one particular day, I think blacks and white folks were showing up at the fair on the same day.
Wow.
But it's happening like during this Juneteenth time. And so
Amazing.
Robert Johnson gets to Dallas, he sees all this excitement, and he tells the people, look, he's scheduled for like 13 songs, but he tells the people, this is Saturday, June 19, 37. And he's like, I can't stay right now. So he records 3 songs and then he comes back on June 20th and he records 10 songs. So
Wow.
you can almost infer that look, he couldn't be he wasn't fit to be tied on Juneteenth. But then on Sunday, he comes back. And so those last 13 recordings happened during the Juneteenth
I
holiday
love that.
in
That's amazing.
Dallas. And so I write about the joy of that. And I write about him
Mm.
because what do we know about blues singers from that era in the 30s,
Yeah.
in the 40s? We know that many of them were just like itinerant travelers. They went from place to place,
Yeah.
little work here, little work there, but
Yeah.
love and their passion and their real money was their music.
Mhm.
And so for the first time, Robert Johnson, he probably didn't know nothing about no Juneteenth because again, Robert Johnson was from Mississippi.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
he was from Mississippi and he had been called to Dallas for this recording. They had
Right.
written him a letter. Actually,
Okay.
folks lived in Memphis and his folks were the way he got his mail. And so his folks in
Mm.
Memphis, the letter from Boca Lion Records, they like, hey, Robert, they want you to be in Dallas at this certain time. So he hobos on the train.
Yeah.
He hobos on the train from Memphis to Dallas. And
Yeah.
the rest is
Wow.
history, as they say. So, yeah, I just wanted to put that plug in that
I
shameless.
love that. No, I think, like, everyone follow Alice Faye, and you'll or and you have your website, of course, but if you follow someone on social media, you're more likely to always
Because it
catch up.
right,
Yeah.
right,
You
it'll
don't
bring
have to physically go on the website. You it comes to you. Yeah. But you can see how she's so amazing. Why wouldn't you want to follow her?
well, tell me this. So you've got, The Enslaved give me the title of that book again.
This one, Twice Enslaved, Liberty and Justice for Henrietta Wood. And the thing that it's also a personal story really about Juneteenth. Well, her life was so tragic. I mean, she was born enslaved,
Mhm.
and she lived in Kentucky, and it was like if she was born on the wrong side of the river. If she had been born on the other side,
Been
she
through.
would be free. So
Mhm.
I really wrote the whole thing with the idea of that river,
Mhm.
and the idea that the river is basically a character in the book too, like, because it's like, so it's she always sees this river on one way or the other, and sometimes, she has this, like, sort of, I guess, love-hate relationship with the river, right? And then even when she's in Ohio later on, because she's miraculously freed, we don't know why her enslaver freed her, but she did.
Mhm.
Okay, and so she enjoyed 5 years of freedom.
Mhm.
Which she I mean, she really embraced it, of course, because she wanted it so long. You really, when you don't have something, I think one thing you do is appreciate it even more than people that have always had it, I think.
Mhm.
And she would still go to the river, and there, it became, it was an obstacle, but then it was a friend. But then she's tricked these horrible people. I'm not going to give all the details of it, but there's a plot to kidnap her back into slavery because her enslaver's daughter didn't feel that it was the mother that freed her. She didn't think she had a right to do it, and she wanted to get paid for her. It was all about disgusting. It's just so despicable. This greed that we see even now, right? This greed, caring more about money, you know?
Stop. Stop. The enslaver no, 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 no. The mother, the white plantation mother, free what is your
Well,
character's
see, it wasn't a plantation. They were in Cincinnati, Ohio. So
who freed her?
yes, well, she had been enslaved by the husband, but the husband died, so then the wife got her, and she didn't immediately free her. She took her back north because they were in New Orleans, which was the worst. It was really bad. Really, they called it hell. The enslaved people called it hell.
Yeah, terrible.
And but when the man died, she brought her back up, and she left her. She kind of rented her out to people to clean and things, but she another miracle was that Henrietta found her little brother that she had not seen since he was a baby, and she identified him from a scar. He had a coffee pot scar from when he got scalded. She recognized her brother, and they were reunited, which is so she did have some beautiful things, she did. But then the
And all right, that's why I want you to stop. The enslaver freed the
Henrietta, yeah,
enslaved woman, right?
yes, yes,
But the enslaver's daughter
yes,
said, "You don't deserve to be free."
exactly,
All right, put a pin
exactly,
right there on that enslaver's daughter.
yeah,
You call that a spirit. I don't know what you call that. I mean, it is an evil spirit.
yeah,
But what we got to do is We got to identify every time we are the enslaver's daughter, and
Mm,
that there is something in us that is envious or malicious,
yeah.
and it insinuates itself into the joy of someone else.
Yes.
That's a spirit that's very pervasive in the world, right?
It sure is. It sure is. Yeah.
And look, if that is something that is human and if it abides in all of us individually, we all need to work on that spirit so that we are not the enslaver's daughter. And I
That's right.
promise you, if you look around and you look at this world right now, you will see how many of us have been guilty of being that enslaver's daughter, and we need to check ourselves on that
Yeah.
spirit. And
Definitely.
we need
Yeah.
to check ourselves on that and make sure that we are on the side of justice, that we are on
Absolutely.
the side of what is righteous, not right,
Absolutely.
righteous, right? Right.
Agreed.
We
Yeah.
need to be on the side of
Yeah.
what is
All for money. She I mean, it was so hard for me to write the scene where she was so trusting and good. And I'm like, you want to tell her, no, don't trust these people. I just wanted to scream at her, no. And it took me forever to write the scene. Her landlady got paid off. It's all about everybody getting paid off, right? So the landlady says, "Oh, let's go for a carriage ride." And Henrietta's like, "Oh, she thought she was being nice. Oh my God, no, don't trust this woman." Oh, and a black man drove the carriage, and so he was in on it.
Here's the thing.
And so
Here's the thing. Again, that spirit of being malicious and evil, it has no race,
I know,
has no gender.
I know,
And so the
you're
thing
right.
is, like, when you see it in yourself,
Yeah,
work on it, purge
there's no
you gotta
question.
do. And so that's what it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a black man that assisted. Well, I mean, truth be told, it was black people that also helped beat Emmett Till or witnessed Emmett Till
Oh my God, don't.
and never said anything. So,
Oh my God,
oh,
don't even start me on him. I will start sobbing so much.
I'm trying to upset you.
Yeah.
Trying,
No, I'm just like you're so. I want to be more like you and
no,
be like.
no. Look, nobody did. Look, I couldn't write that story. I couldn't write that
Well,
Henrietta Wood story. That was like,
all I can say about her is it took
I
me.
know, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
that being inhumane sometimes is just a human flaw.
No, you're right. There's
And
no
and
question.
and, and
Yeah.
so and we have to work on that when we see it. Be like, oh,
Yeah.
I gotta work on that. I
Absolutely.
that
Yeah.
because we don't want to be guilty of that. And I'm saying that
No,
that spirit of the enslaver's daughter is the very reason why we are having. I'm saying that that
you're
spirit
right. Yeah.
the very
Yeah.
reason why we have gerrymander. It's the very reason that spirit is
Yeah.
the very reason why we have the Civil Rights Act of 1965 being gutted and
Yeah.
upheld in the way that it has been.
Yeah.
And so one thing that you can depend on that is consistent in this life is human nature.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah. So
And
I'm glad that we write these books so that kids have to see this stuff so they can be on the lookout
so
for
they
all
can
the bad stuff. They got to know. They can't be unaware.
exactly, exactly. So that even if in the home, kids need books so that even in the home, if somebody is preaching murder,
Yeah.
even if in the home somebody is being a racist, even if in the home somebody does not have empathy because that child has their own passion
Yeah.
consciousness, when they have an encounter with your book, my book, they will feel something that is right and
Yeah.
now know that they have experienced something that is unsettling and should be avoided.
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you, I wrote a book. It has nothing to do with this,
Yeah.
but it's called Just Like a Mama. And it's about a little girl who cannot stay with her parents right now, but she lives with, like, you don't know if this lady is her grandma or if it is her foster mom or whoever it is. But what you do know is that what I know as the writer is there are several children who live in a home with their moms and their dads, and they don't know that experience that this little child is having, But when they read a story about a little kid that cannot stay with her mom and dad and now has a caretaker, they now have empathy and they can
Yes.
now say, "Hey, I don't need to make fun of Jack or Jane who
Yeah.
is like in care of somebody that ain't theirs,"
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because now I feel that and
Yeah.
I know that that is a real situation and I can now have empathy and I can now celebrate that, right? And so that's
Yes.
what's happening when kids see your books and they see my books. They say, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
this is not human. This is not kind. This is
No,
not right."
it's not right.
And then
But
when they
yeah.
encounter something in their own little lives
Yeah.
that they know looks similar to this.
That really is the magic of books,
Yeah,
like, it really is. I mean, books totally saved my life when I was a kid, that I really did. I learned so much. They taught me the things that I wasn't learning from anybody.
yeah.
I kinda no offense to, people, but I kinda raised myself.
Okay.
And, I had a lot going on in my life. It was, not easy, but, books really saved my life, and they taught me I learned you're right, I learned empathy. I guess I had empathy already, but I found it for people that all through books. Books are everything. Books are everything, and it drives me crazy that they're being threatened because you know why? Because certain people want to keep people down by how do you keep somebody down? You don't educate them.
It's anti-intellectual. So
Yeah,
they want because the only way you can stay controlled is because you are ignorant and you don't know, you don't
yeah,
have knowledge.
exactly.
And so that's
Yeah,
the whole point of the slave not being able to read, right?
that's right. Yeah,
So and so that's another reason why we celebrate Juneteenth, because now it means that the enslaved have agency over. They can read, they can move and have their being and go wherever the heck they want to go, right?
yeah, yeah.
And so then it's like I say, you're free. Then right, I now got to have black code. I now got to have Jim Crow. Now you can't go nowhere, right?
God, it's the
Same
worst.
thing. All right, now
Yeah,
you free. You've become a black president. You got all these black, black congressmen,
yeah,
couple of black senators. You got black people with businesses. You got black people, doctors, lawyers, black people
yeah,
like being Fortune 500, Fortune 100, Fortune 50,
yeah,
right? It's like, how do I stop this? Well, now not only do I have to make the enslaved ignorant, I now gotta make my own children ignorant so that
mm,
they will follow this mob
right,
control. So somebody gotta be crazy
yeah,
if- in order to make my children ignorant, they gotta make their children ignorant too, and they go
yeah.
along with that program.
It's true. I don't understand it, but my chiropractor always tells me it's good that you don't understand because 'cause you're not like that, But like, so I can't. But we
It's
have to make everybody aware of it,
It's insane.
and
It's
yeah, it's
insane.
crazy.
It is
It's crazy.
insane. It is
It
insane.
is.
And so what I predict will happen is the way that history goes. It goes from one zeitgeist moment to another zeitgeist moment
Okay.
to another zeitgeist moment. And
Well,
someti
I hope so.
and sometimes well, but here's the thing. You never know how long it is between the
Yeah.
one moment to the
Okay.
next.
Okay. Yeah.
Slavery survived over like, hundreds of years in America,
Yeah.
right? So it
Yeah.
moved from that moment and then those several hundred years in between to get to a
Yeah.
moment of freedom. Reconstruction only lasts what, like 12 years? And then you have to wait all the way from the end of Reconstruction to 1964 to
Hmm.
get to get the signing of the 1960
Yeah.
the signing of the 1964 Civil Rights Bill. So
Well, there was one that got passed, but then it got knocked out by the Supreme Court. Benjamin Butler, the
and
guy I told you about, he went into Congress and he got the bill passed, but then Supreme Court knocked it out.
but guess what? But now that same Supreme Court that knocked it out is the Supreme Court that is presiding now.
I know.
So how long? So same court, right? So
That's what
so
I'm saying. Yeah.
so the thing is, how long will it be until we have another? Only God knows.
Yeah.
But while we are here and while we have the power and the ability that we have right now, we are going to use it. We are going to shine our light. What does the song say? This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Your power and your privilege is your light. So whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever city, whatever state, in whatever body you're born. You take whatever light you have, use it in service to others, and as you shine that light, wherever you are will be bright,
That's
right?
right. Yeah.
It might not be bright way over yonder, but where
Yeah.
you are will
Yeah,
be a bright.
that's a really great way to look at it for sure. I'm gonna try to adopt that. But I do wanna just tell you the good news about Henrietta is she did survive all these things. She
Mhm,
had a son who she treasured, and she was able to keep him with her.
mhm.
They went to Texas, and when she found out she was free, the guy, her enslaver said, "Well, stay here and I'll pay you." And she really had no choice. But this jerk never even paid her still then, right? But she raised some livestock and was able to finally get enough money to take her son back up the river, you
Mhm.
know, and to back to Ohio. And then she sued for reparations and she won the most reparations ever. Okay. And she put her son through law school. So there you go.
Repeat
There's a
it.
great end.
Oh, someone say Henrietta Woods.
Henrietta Wood, yeah. Henrietta Wood, yeah. I love you. You need to come and be with me. You make me so happy. Yeah, so this is it's she's a this is a woman to be reckoned with, okay? This is a woman, and that's why I want everyone to know her and to say, "Okay, just because 'cause you're down, you're not out. You go on. We gotta find our way. We gotta find our way," you
Th-
know? It's
Don't give up.
amazing. Never give up.
Don't give up. Don't quit.
Never give
Look,
up.
look. I'm gonna read. Can I recite a poem?
Of course.
Okay. So one of the things that I do, like, I write about a lot of hard topics, as you write about like a lot of hard topics, right? And so one of the ways that I try to make those topics accessible and memorable for kids is I try to, when I can, put in a little poem that's memorable.
Mhm.
And so, like you were saying about Henrietta Woods, she just like bad things were happening, but Henrietta Woods never gave up. Of course, right now I can't see the book, but I need you to post that book and leave it up for a long time. Now, what year was that book? What year was that book published?
That book just came out this year.
Is that 2026?
Yes.
Can I prophesy to you?
Sure.
The book is a winner.
Oh, thank you.
The book is a winner. It's a winner. But you were saying that Henrietta never gave up, right?
Never gave up. Yeah.
And so there's this poem I wrote for Memphis Martin and Mountaintop, my book about the assassin.
I love that book. Yeah.
And the poem goes, dream big, walk tall, be strong, march on, don't quit, never stop, climb up the mountaintop. Repeat after me, possess the land.
Possess the land.
One more time, possess the land.
Possess the land.
Possess the land. And so that's what Henrietta Woods
Yes.
did. It's like
Yeah.
she
She did.
didn't quit, she never stopped, and in the end, she possessed the land. That
Absolutely.
child that she was able to keep near her for all of the turmoil and all of the struggle, that child grows up to be a lawyer
Yes.
in the middle of all of that. So now here, if this child who has been property, the child of the enslaved and him himself am enslaved with great determination and tenacity can go on in a world that is surely worse than this world right now,
True.
right? All of us probably can do more and do better than we are right now if we remove the excuse this is so hard or
Mm.
they did this, they did that. They
Yeah.
did this, they gonna continue to do this, and they gonna continue to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You also can't stop in the face of them doing what they doing,
Yeah.
right?
That's
And
right.
and that's what I have to tell myself now. When the book banners, come in, they still there. I be like, wait, I can't stop writing about Black history just because the book banners are there. Surely might not be selling as many manuscripts as I have been, but I still have to write
Yeah.
message and I still
That's
have
right.
to write the history that young people need to know whether they banning books or not.
Absolutely.
And I can't stop, won't stop.
No. I know you're a force to be reckoned with for sure. Tell us a little bit about the Memphis book.
So Memphis, okay, so I live in Memphis, born and raised in Memphis. Memphis is the city where Dr. King was assassinated. I taught for 30 years in Memphis. I'm a national board educator and I taught for 30 years in Memphis. And early in my teaching career, in fact, I started writing books for Macmillan the same year that I got my first teacher's contract.
Wow.
And so I immediately, when I started writing books, I started doing school visits, right? And what I noticed, and most of my school visits back then, they were all in my city. I wasn't traveling anywhere.
Sure. Yeah,
Just
yeah.
I was like, they was like, "Oh, Alice Faye is writing books now. Will you come to our school?
Yeah.
Come to our school for free?" I was so happy. Yeah, I'll come to your school. So
Yeah.
I was going to all the Memphis schools for free. Now that I ain't going for free, like I can't hear nobody pray. You're like, oh. But anyways, so I realized when I was going on all these school visits that because my book was about Dr. King. My book was The National Civil Rights Museum Celebrates Everyday People. And so it was about the people between 1955 and 1968 who had contributed to the American Civil Rights Movement.
Mm.
And so I always ended with King and the assassination. But when I would go to the schools in Memphis and I would broach the conversation about Dr. King, the children in Memphis could only tell me one thing, and that was, oh, yeah, Dr. King, he was killed at the Lorraine Motel.
Right.
They could not give me a hypothesis about why he was killed.
Mm.
They could not
Yeah.
tell me that he was here fighting for, he was in Memphis fighting for economic rights.
Yeah.
And so I was like, wait, they don't even know why he was here.
Yeah.
They don't know that he was on a movement now to go and get economic rights for every American in all the four
Yeah.
corridors of the nation.
Yeah.
And I think a very important point, that his movement was economic. And I think it's very important that they connect that his death happens when he is not talking about coffee at a counter and he is not talking about bus tickets on city transportation. He is killed when he is talking about coming for a check, an adequate, substantial living wage
Yeah.
for every American.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to write that book. And I think my first draft, I started in maybe 2005, sometime between 2005 and 2008. And my agent at the time said to me, nobody wants to hear about civil rights right now. And then
Obviously never met our editor.
what's up? Our editor was probably in grade school then. But anyways, no, I'm just saying. And then my agent at the time said that the whole death assassination thing was maybe a little bit too gruesome for
Yeah.
young people, right? So between that time and then 2015, when I sold the book, I found a new agent and I found a new editor. And so that book then became one of only two books right now that talk about picture books, I should say, became one of only two picture books that speak for children about the assassination of Dr. King. And so
Yeah.
that's what the book is about. The book is about how Dr. King came to Memphis. It was a movement where the sanitation workers were organized themselves. Dr. King did not come to lead their movement. He came to speak on behalf of their
Yeah.
movement because their movement represented the Poor People's Campaign, which he was now on his way to Washington to propose an economic bill of rights for America. Here's the thing. There is no movement that Dr. King added his voice to that was not successful. So there is no doubt in my mind that when he added his voice to that movement, that in the end, he was going to be successful. But
Yeah.
we will never know that now because he is dead. And now tell me, do we have a federal living wage that he was after? 50
No.
years later, we do not.
Right.
But there is a zeitgeist moment that is coming. When, I don't know. And there will
Okay.
be a federal living wage.
I hope so. I agree with I really, you are really making me see all the positive, which I told you, we need you, Alice Faye. We need you.
I need,
But you're right.
I
I
need,
don't know, maybe it's because I write all these sad things. I am actually writing a book about, 1968. It's 1968, but then it's about the Chicago 8. And so it follows 1968. The first half follows the 1968 up to the convention, and then the second half is about the trial, this mockery that they call a trial. And so I just wrote a chapter about Dr. King's assassination, and I did it through the eyes of Mayor Daley in Chicago because he's involved with the whole Chicago 8 thing, obviously.
Check this out. So and your book come your book is after this moment, but in 1967, Dr. King had tried on his own. It was almost like a singular effort to speak about the injustice in the North. Because in 1967,
Yes, no, I do. I talk about that because I flash back with that
right.
about all the I know, and he said that he got treated worse in Chicago than he had in Alabama.
And so he moved to Lawndale.
Yeah,
Now, do you want to hear a very personal story? So
sure.
Dr. King used to be, when I was a very, very young child, like in first and second grade, Dr. King was my imaginary friend.
Wow, that's so cool.
And I lived on a street called Lawndale.
Oh,
And when Dr. King goes to Chicago, he lives in a community called
hmm,
Lawndale.
yeah,
So I didn't realize that Dr. King moved to Lawndale until I had done research for my Coretta Scott King book. But
wow,
I'm like, oh my God, the same time that that I had him as my imaginary friend, he actually lived
that's so
in
funny.
a place that shared
Wow,
my street's name as a child.
yeah.
That
Isn't
was
that funny? That's really it's amazing how these things happen, these little things, you know? They
energy.
really yeah. I agree. Yeah. So it's a hard book to write because then he dies and then which is and then Bobby Kennedy dies. That was a messed up year, man. I don't know. It was like one of the darkest years in our history for sure. I mean, can you imagine if those two men had not been killed, what could have been accomplished?
But
You
again,
know?
like there is a zeitgeist moment, there is providence, there are all these things that are working that I mean, not to sound all woo woo and hoo hoo, but I really think like maybe in the end, when we all get to wherever we are going, we will see that there is always a greater who in you that is at
Yeah.
work. There's a greater power that is in work, and we at work. There's a greater power
Mhm.
that is at work, and we
Sure.
really have to move far away from the moment
Yeah.
to understand what happened.
I get it. I get it.
Not saying that it's right.
Yeah.
Not
No. No,
not
no, no, I hear you, and I wanna believe all that. I don't know. I think, once I maybe when I finish the book, I'll be it's hard when you're immersed in the sadness of writing it.
it.
Very, very hard.
I mean, because you are
Y
living the
yeah.
experience now, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
You are walking that road.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you walk the road with Henrietta Woods.
Yes, that nearly killed me. I mean, that was the hardest book I ever wrote. Oh my gosh. And it was during COVID too. I was all alone, and I was just sobbing my eyes out.
Look, you all alone and you at the river.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
deep. That is
Yeah, it was, it's quite I was definitely handed that book because, like, it was the first time I ever Googled I needed a topic, and I'm like I just Googled, like, "unknown history in America," literally, and it popped up. I'm like, "I have never heard of this woman," and it was just now when I've never gotten an idea just from Google, you know?
well, it happens. And that was
Yeah,
serendipity, right?
it was. Yeah.
It was the serendipity of the moment. So check this out. The way I found out about Robert Johnson playing his music during Juneteenth, the last of his 13 songs during Juneteenth. I was researching the book on Opal Lee about Juneteenth.
Mm, yeah, yeah.
Kind of way I put in Juneteenth and some other
Right.
words to go with it, and it
Yes.
was like Robert Johnson, Dallas, Juneteenth, and I'm like, what? Because
Yeah, that is the best way to get another thing from your while you're doing research. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
and
Well,
then
that
go ahead.
yeah. No, no, go ahead.
And then I found out that Robert Johnson, the blues singer, he was actually born in Mississippi, but his first 6 years were spent in Memphis, and that he went to elementary school. He went to elementary school in Memphis at Carnes Elementary.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that
That's
was
funny. Yeah.
That was and I knew, like, before Carnes is closed now, but
Mm.
I knew, like, the principal of Carnes School before it closed, and I'm thinking, of course, he was not the principal at Carnes when Robert Johnson was there, but just to have that connection with Robert
Absolutely.
Johnson,
Yeah.
it felt like you felt like or like the Henrietta Woods story was yours to share with
Absolutely. Yeah.
and
That is, that book and the other one that I mentioned before, Seeking Freedom,
mhm,
that was literally handed to me by serendipity for sure,
mhm,
because I wrote a book about Lafayette, Marquis de Lafayette and George Washington called Revolutionary Friends.
uh-huh,
So I became an American friend of Lafayette. It's a organization, and they travel every year. They go to Yorktown to celebrate the magnificent Marquis's contribution. Unlike in Hamilton, where they kind of downplay it, it really was because of Lafayette that we won that battle. We cornered them there, all these things, and the French. So they celebrated. So I was there with them, and it's a group of mostly like married people, right? And I wasn't married, And I'm like, I'm so tired of being, I was just like sad a little bit, like because I'm like they're very nice and they hang out, but I'm like, maybe I'll just go. My friend said I was going to leave a day early. My friend said no, you can't go. We were gonna go to Fortress Monroe the next day, this fort. And because we went anywhere where Lafayette went, and Lafayette had stayed there, right? So she said, "You can't go because I know you're gonna find your next story tomorrow." And I'm like, "I feel like you're just making this up, but now I have to stay." Okay.
mm,
Well, I went there. The guy, one of our people was worked at Fort Monroe. He was a curator of the museum there at the time, and so he got us into quarters one where Lafayette stayed because it was all being worked on, but we were able to go in and we were in the room where Lafayette stayed. And he said, I want to tell you another story while we're here. And he talked about three enslaved men the night that Virginia seceded. They stole a boat and rowed. It was a moat around the fort. And they went to Fort Monroe, Fortress Monroe, they called it at the time, and they asked for sanctuary because they didn't want it. They knew that they were going to be taken down, down south further to build weapon stations. They knew they were going to be separated from their families. So normally, for some odd reason, the Union always sent them back. They did not give them sanctuary. But there was a new commander there, just there that day, named General Benjamin Butler, and he told those men he believed in their. He did not believe in enslavement. He wanted to help them, and he gave them sanctuary. Now he needed a reason. He couldn't just do it, right? So he was also a lawyer. There goes law again. And he said that he called them contraband of war. You can confiscate contraband because it's going to be used against you.
mhm,
Why are they contraband? Because they're going to be forced to work on the weapon stations, so therefore they themselves are weapons. Well, he said this to the guy that came looking for them the next day, and the guy's like, "What are you kidding me?" And they wrote about it in the newspapers, and everybody was laughing at it. They called the contraband decision. It was just laughed and laughed. But who was not laughing? The enslaved people who now were seeking freedom at this fort because they don't care what you call them. Just let's give us some freedom, right? And these contrabands were the key. This was the beginning of the end of enslavement in America. And it's a story that, like, I couldn't believe when I heard this story. I could not believe it. And then there's a man named George Scott. This man lived in the woods. He escaped from his enslaver and lived in the woods on his own for 2 years, so he knew the woods
yeah,
really well.
that's Seeking Freedom, right?
Yes.
I have that
Well,
right, I have
yes. I because what happened was the 3 men were given sanctuary, but then you don't really find out what happened. I can't find any record of exact. I know they were okay, but I don't know what happened. Like, I couldn't tell a story
yeah,
the full way. So I found George Scott. He's this amazing. He was a freedom seeker that took a chance to go there because he was on his own for 2 years, and he was like, "Do I trust them? Do I trust them?" And he finally came in, and he offered to help find the Confederates where they were hiding in the woods because they were going to attack the fort. And he went and he knew how to find them because he had lived there for 2 years. So he came back and he almost got killed because they caught him, but he got away. They were shooting at him. He comes back and he's like, "They're going to starve us out. They were going to take they were going to just not let any provisions go in and they would just die eventually."
mhm.
So Butler gave him a gun and he let him lead them there. This is the first black man to be armed in the Civil War. Amazing. This guy is amazing. And he got there.
What's his
Unfortunately,
name? Wait, what's his name?
his name is George Scott.
Say George Scott again.
George Scott.
George Scott.
George Scott, he's a man, and we unfortunately lost the battle because there were, like, scouts, and they warned the Confederates.
Mhm.
So, we lost people, but George did not die, George lived, and it but I'm like, "Oh, how am I gonna write this? We lost the battle," but then I'm like, "I always write about losing battles." In Brandywine, we lost Brandywine in Revolutionary Friends, and we lost my first book was about the Battle of Long Island, we lost that battle, It's not about that, right? So
It's
so
about
then
about it's about showing children determination,
yes,
conviction, tenacity,
yes. But George Scott is this
about
amazing guy.
being righteous, about standing
Yeah.
on the righteous side of history.
But really, it's because of that really was the beginning of the Emancipation Proclamation, because George Scott said, well, Butler asked him, "What can I do for you to
Mhm.
repay you?" And he goes, "Well, I would like my freedom," because although they were freedom seekers, they were not really free, right? And Butler wrote a whole letter to Lincoln, like a whole thing, explaining how. Well, he used another legal argument because the Confederates had abandoned the area. They had left, right? Because even though they attacked, and they were like, "We're done with this. We're out of here," right? So they abandoned their property. So now the property could be freed, right? It was a whole reasoning, right? And he's just this brilliant guy. And he gave the letter to George Scott, and George Scott set off for the Capitol. We don't know if he ever saw Lincoln. We don't know. We don't That's it. He walked into history, he walked out of history. But this was the beginning of the end of enslavement. The contrabands were amazing people that all need to be known. These beautiful people that were all they took that chance to go into that fort. They were this was the beginning of the end of enslavement, and nobody why don't we talk about this? So that's why I wrote Seeking Freedom, all because my friend told me that I had to
Hey,
stay.
just to wait, and you were
Yeah.
obedient. You were obedient to the spirit, like the spirit.
Yeah.
You were obedient to the spirit. The spirit,
I believe very strongly in that kind of stuff.
yeah, like the
Absolutely.
spirit said, "Hey, stay."
Well, that's what writing is. It's all about working with the spirit, right? We're always given these things, so
Are,
that's what it is.
you
Yeah.
are. I mean, like all the dead blues musicians, like I just wrote about BB King. I'm writing
Mm,
about Robert Johnson, and I wrote one that was really like just a tribute to all those blues musicians that were born and raised on along Highway 61 in the 20s and the 30s.
mm.
So look, I thank you for allowing me this time, but I want to say, as we celebrate Juneteenth, there are certain things that I think Juneteenth fellowships and jamborees and picnics should have. And these are things that I got from Mother Opal Lee when I interviewed with her. She says that when you are celebrating Juneteenth, make sure that you acknowledge the struggle and the triumph of those who have gone before you, no matter who you are.
Yeah.
Those, and if you, as an American, those enslaved people who endured the hardship of enslavement
Mm.
and then went into the world to try to make, not to try, but to make a life for themselves and their family.
Yes.
We need, during Juneteenth, we need to acknowledge and we need to remember their courage.
Yes.
And then she says that Juneteenth should be intergenerational,
Mm,
which means during Juneteenth, older people need to make time to listen to younger people.
mm.
And during Juneteenth, younger people need to make time to listen to the stories and the histories of the older people. Oftentimes, in this new millennium that we're living in, young people seem too cool to take time for
Yes.
the elders,
That's right.
and elders seem to be preoccupied oftentimes with just doing what's required for being an adult to make things go
Yeah.
on, and worrying about their social security and worrying about their medicine and worrying about their
Yeah.
sugar, right?
Yeah.
That they don't even see the need to stop and spend time with young people.
Yes.
And then Obali says that every Juneteenth should have good food and celebration because you are acknowledging that the enslaved did not have access and were not given
Mm.
the best.
Yes.
So she says, always make sure that you have a feast so that
Okay.
we remember that it was not all that always that way
Mm.
for the enslaved.
Yes.
And then the last one, she says that you should always have music.
Mm.
You should have music to acknowledge the good times and the joy of being liberated
Mm.
and having your own personal agency,
Wow.
and also last, the fifth one is to make sure that you are not a singular people having a celebration, but that you
Mm.
invite your neighbors who do not look like you or share your experience,
Hmm.
be in community and company with you as you celebrate Juneteenth, because Juneteenth is you,
Mm.
Juneteenth is me, and Juneteenth means unity.
Mm, I love it. Wow, that's amazing. I love this. Thank you so much. Do you have any did you get my email about the quotes?
Yes, I do. I have a
Okay, good.
quote. I have a quote.
Okay. Okay. Then, go ahead.
Y-
We're gonna we always end with quotes, so
Quote.
go
Okay.
ahead.
So today I want to end with a quote that comes from Dr. King's wife, Mrs.
Mm,
Coretta Scott King.
yes.
I wrote a book about her several years ago, and it's called Coretta's Journey.
Wow.
And I opened the book with a quote that she often gave. People don't know it, but before Dr. King spoke against the Vietnam War, Coretta Scott King was at home telling him, Martin, you have to speak against the war. Martin, too many children are dying. Martin, we believe in nonviolence and war is violent.
Mm,
You have to speak against the war. And so Coretta Scott King was very much as prophetic as Dr. King, but Dr. King at the time of his life was the voice.
yeah.
So she didn't really get a chance to share her voice with the world until she had to be a voice for him and a voice
Mm,
for the people in his absence. And so Coretta Scott King has this quote that she said often, and she would say, freedom is never really won. You earn
mm,
it and win it in every generation.
mm,
What does she mean by that? She means that Alice Faye, during my life, has a freedom struggle with this present gerrymandering.
yeah,
My mother in her life had the freedom struggle with Dr. King, and as they marched through Memphis in 68,
yeah.
and in the 40s, there was a freedom movement with A. Philip Randolph where he was trying to
Mm,
support the Pullman porters. So your
yeah.
children, like for us, we made the mistake. I think many of us, especially I'm gonna speak for Black folks,
Sure.
we made the mistake in 1964 in 1968 when we had the 1964 Civil Rights Act and we had the 1965 Voting Rights Act. Nobody paid attention that 1965 Voting Rights Act said that there was going to have be an end in 50 years, but we weren't paying attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody was really paying attention. And so what we need to teach our children is that they are going to be tomorrow's freedom fighters and that
Yes.
they will have a freedom struggle because power never concedes easily.
Right.
And so
That's for sure.
the people always have to be working,
Yeah.
keeping freedom or regaining freedom or retaining freedom or get
Yeah.
back freedom,
Yes.
always will be working. And so we need to teach our children
Yeah.
that the onus of freedom is on their shoulders. And I mean,
Yes.
so like when I was a child, my mama was like, "Yeah, you going to college." Like I didn't have a choice. Like my mama was preaching college from the day I was out of the womb.
Yeah.
Now look at me, baby, you going to college.
That's interesting
And so
because
we need to we need to share with our children that the onus of freedom and democracy is on them. If it is to be, if they are to be free,
yeah.
they need to have a posture of that.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
That's what
Yeah,
your books do that. My books
thank you.
do that. The
Yes,
inference
it
is
d
there, right?
yes,
The inference is there. Because we oftentimes we're writing these books through the perspective of some child, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And
No, it's amazing. Well, I have a quote from Shirley Chisholm, who
and
I love. We were talking about a little bit about people that were in government, and Shirley Chisholm is just like this amazing force of nature also.
mhm.
She's like you, and the quote is, "If they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair." And that's just like she's so right. And that goes to show you that you don't have to wait to be invited somewhere. You barge in, you do it. We can't be waiting for an invitation.
Started.
Yes.
Just get started because what
Yeah.
you're going to find as you move on the road toward the progress that you're seeking, providence, the great who in you, the
Yes.
spirit of the spirit that is on the righteous spirit of all things, if there is such a thing, it's going to come and it is going to give you assistance.
Yeah.
We do
Yeah.
not know how long trouble will last, but we know that we need to be working to scatter it, to eviscerate it, to assail it.
Yeah.
We all got to be found working, doing what it is that is for us to do. So I write. I'm not gonna march nowhere, but I write.
Yeah.
I can boycott. I
Yep.
cannot shop at Target, right?
Right.
And I can write a letter to my senator. I can write a letter to my congressman. I
Yes.
can go vote.
That's right.
I can
Hopefully.
look, I can take about 7 people and cram 7 people in my Venza, my Toyota Venza, and take them to the poll, okay?
Yeah. Yeah. And it also is changing. It's going to change. It changes the consciousness when you do that. The air around us. It fixes it. I mean, if hopefully it'll heal it eventually. But I think that's a large step towards getting to the next moment. Is changing when we change our thoughts and we start feeling. Yes, I am doing something. It changes things.
Individually, right.
Yeah.
Just change yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Work on you. That's why I said when you find the enslavers, the spirit of the enslaver's daughter in you, because it might pop up and pop off. I mean, and I'm saying that for everybody.
I know what you're saying. I'm not taking that myself. I
Like, it's okay, go sit down, go pray, go read a poem or a scripture or something. Get your heart together.
Yeah,
And then,
get your heart together. There's a good quote.
and then,
Yeah.
and then try again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed. Well, I found one more quote from Opal Lee that I'm gonna share because she said, "We have simply got to make people aware that none of us are free until we're all free."
We're
And
all
that I think that's a beautiful way to end.
is a way to end.
So, and Alice Faye, everyone can find you have what's your website?
My website is alicefayeduncan.com, and that's Faye with an E.
Yes. And I'm gonna put everything in the show notes as well. And you're on social media. What social media are you on?
Okay, so on Instagram, I am Alice Faye Wright, and on Facebook, I am simply Alice Faye Duncan.
Okay. All right. Well, and be on the lookout for the next Juneteenth book coming out, and follow Alice Faye so you get all this information. And just think, why wouldn't you want to follow Alice Faye? She's just sunshine. That's what she is.
Thank you so very much. And Selene, thank you for inviting me to participate. And I cannot wait to see you in person at
Yeah,
the
we're doing a panel at
yes,
NCTE, which is
and we're gonna talk about what we talking about.
I don't know.
Olympics
It's gonna be great though. It's gonna be great.
too. Okay, I'll get to talk to you. So I'll talk to you
Yes.
soon. God bless you.
Yes. You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye bye, everybody.
Peace.
Thanks for listening.
All right.
Bye.
Bye bye.